तस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकाया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So today we are discussing chapter number Nectar of Devotion. Prabhuji, your voice is not coming right. No, you have to disconnect and join again. Nikhil Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming. Okay, so today is a very historic day because Varmani Gopal Prabhu has come and Ranjana Mataji has come. And it's historic because it's according to the Bhaktisastri curriculum, today is the last class. Bhaktisastri. So we started the Bhaktisastri session about 6 years back. So first session Varmani Prabhu was there. And he's there for the last session. So this is a important conclusion of several years of. So we have several devotees on the conference who have been joining every Saturday for this Bhakti Shastri course.
It's a half an hour course?
It's a 1 hour every Saturday. Actually 8:30 to 9:30. Yeah. So today is the last session. You have the book, Mataji, or
no, I don't.
You want to?
You want to go to vedabase.com?
Okay.
You can just. All right. So today we are discussing the 19th chapter, which is entitled Devotional Service in Pure Love of God. Right? Devotional service in pure love of God. So today's discussion, or today, what we will be learning is that what are the characteristics of devotional service or attributes of devotional service when one is experiencing pure love of God, right? So how does what is the characteristic or swabhava of devotional service in pure love of God? In that we will be discussing ecstasy, experiencing Lord's extraordinary mercy, and desire to associate with pure devotees. So these are the three things we'll be discussing. One is ecstasy, another one is uh, experiencing Lord's extraordinary mercy, right? And third one is a deep desire or longing to be in the association of pure devotees, right? So these are the characteristics of devotional service in pure love of God. All right, so we will go through these subsections and understand these different attributes in detail: ecstasy, Lord's extraordinary mercy, and association with pure devotees. So we'll begin the chapter. We'll read the first para. When one's desire to love Krishna in one's particular relationship becomes intensified, this is known as pure love of Godhead. In the beginning, a devotee is engaged in devotional principles of devotional service by the order of his spiritual master. When one thereby becomes completely purified of material contamination, there develop an attachment and taste for devotional service. There develops an attachment and taste for devotional service. This taste and attachment, when gradually intensified in course of time, becomes love. The word love can be actually applied only in relationship with the personality of Godhead. In the material world, love is not applicable at all. What goes on under the name of love in the material world is nothing but lust. There is a gulf of difference between love and lust, like the difference between gold and iron. In the Narad Pancharatra, it is clearly stated that when lust is completely transferred to the Supreme Godhead and the concept of kinship is completely reposed in him, such is accepted as pure love of God by great authorities like Bhishma, Prahlad, Uddhav, and Narad. Great authorities like Bhishma have explained that love of God it means completely giving up all so-called love for any other person. According to Bhishma, love means reposing one's affection completely upon one person, withdrawing all affinities for any other person. This pure love can be transferred to the Supreme Personality of Godhead under two conditions: out of ecstasy and out of causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Hare Krishna. So, when one's desire to love Krishna in one's particular relationship becomes intensified, this is known as pure love of Godhead. So one's desire to love Krishna in particular relationship. So everybody understands, right? Particular relationship. So we all have a particular relationship. In our purified stage in the spiritual world, we all have our own particular svabhava. Somebody is a gopi, somebody is a gopa, somebody is father, somebody is mother, somebody is a friend, somebody is a servant, and somebody is serving Krishna in neutrality. So these are the different uh, constitutional position, right? Muktir hitva anyathena swarupena vyavasthiti. Swarup means our original in spiritual world. What is our relationship with Krishna? That is our swarup. So that is when one becomes completely purified. That's revealed to one that I am actually a friend of Krishna. I am actually a cow. In the spiritual world, all devotees, as it is mentioned here, uh, the the concept of love is very clear, right? Love means to love Krishna. That's it, right? So that is our swabhava, right? So when one's desire to love Krishna, not in some other type of relationship, but the constitutional relationship, particular relationship that one has, when that desire is intensified, right, then it is called as pure love of God. And of course, Prabhupada goes to explain that we begin as sadhana bhaktas. We follow the regulative principles, we follow the discipline of devotional service, very specifically under the order of spiritual master. So sadhana bhakti means not just some whimsical type of devotional service that we feel we can do. It's very specific under the guidance and order of a spiritual master, right? Then such rendering of sadhana bhakti or devotional service, what it does, it purifies the heart, purifies the material contamination. And what is the result of such purification? One develops attachment and taste for devotional service. So we all know the verse we've probably often heard about uh, progression in devotional service, right? Progress or different phases, right? What is it? Adau Shraddha तथा साधु संगो था भजन क्रिया अनर्थ निवृत्ति शाद, राइट, तथा निष्ठा तथा रुचि भाव and prema. So these are the different stations. As we are making progress in devotional service, we will reach one step after another.
So prema is the last step. Final step.
Prema is the last step. Begins with Shraddha. Shraddha is weak faith. But that faith is good enough to put us in sadhu sangha. Right? Adav Shraddha tata sadhu sangha. When we take sadhu sangha, what happens? What happens? Sadhu sangha. Next step. Bhajana kriya.
Bhajana
Right?
Kriya.
So we render bhajan kriya, which is basically mentioned here as devotional service. So sadhu sangha means coming in contact with the spiritual master. Coming in contact with spiritual master, when there's Shraddha, we come in contact with spiritual master. In that contact with spiritual master, there is bhajan kriya, where spiritual master gives guidance that okay, this is how to render devotional service. When we render devotional service, bhajan kriya, then what is the next step?
Anartha Nivritti.
Ananta Nivritti.
Anartha nivritti, which is purification from material contamination. Anartha nivritti. Anartha. Artha means meaningful. Anartha means no meaning. It has no meaning. It has no value. Right? Anartha. So our contamination in our heart has no value. Right? For us, we sometimes feel it's a big value. Right? My ego has such a big value. Right? So we feel value, but actually material contamination has no value. Anartha, nivritti. Nivritti means giving up. Anartha nivritti, purification from material contamination. And then what happens after material contamination is gone?
Ruchi?
Nishtha.
Nishtha.
Nishtha. Okay, Nishtha.
Nishtha means now firm faith is being established. And as a result of that firm faith being established, what is the next step?
Ruchi.
Ruchi, which is what Prabhupada mentioned here as attachment and taste. Ruchi, taste. Like it's a Sanskrit word, right? Sometimes we use in Hindi also. We say, I have ruchi in this. I like to read this. I have ruchi in reading, right? So like that, ruchi, taste. So when heart is purified, then ruchi comes, right? Nishtha and ruchi. And after this ruchi, This taste and attachment when gradually intensified in course of time. Right? This ruchi will then lead to bhava. Bhava means emotions, feelings, right? So intensified feelings and desires, bhava, then leads to
Prem.
this taste and attachment when gradually intensified in course of time becomes love. Okay? So this is the journey. So we have come to this stage, devotional service and pure love of God. Now, one more important thing that Prabhupada mentions and clarifies here, which is extremely important and also kind of revolutionary. Prabhupada says that love means only for Krishna. So you can't, according to the Mahajans, you can't love multiple people. Right? According to the Mahajans, love is only for Krishna. And that's why actually Krishna says sometimes, Bhagavad Gita, when we quote the verse, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja. Surrender to me alone. So, we understand why Krishna is saying, because love can only be towards Krishna. So then one may say, okay, but then how about pure devotees? They love everybody. How do we understand that?
Compassion.
How do pure devotees love all the living entities?
Again, Krishna is there in everybody's heart, right, Prabhu? Yeah.
So they are loving Krishna in their heart. They are not loving those specific souls.
Everybody in Krishna's field.
Because they see Krishna in everybody around them.
They are loving everybody in relation to Krishna. They are loving everybody in relation to Krishna because they are loving Krishna. Krishna is their sole focus. Their one-pointed attention they are actually dedicating to Krishna, and their consciousness is completely consumed by Krishna. Automatically, they are able to see everything in connection to Krishna, everything in relation to Krishna. So they love everybody. They love everything. But it's not independent. It's not independent of Krishna. It's not disconnected with Krishna. Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmani Gavi Hastini Suni Chaiva Sapakeja Pandita Samadarshina. Why is a Pandit able to be Samadarshina? Because he is able to see Krishna in the heart of everybody. So Samadarshina, brotherhood, comes when there is the Father in the center. Right? So this is extremely important. So we must take an inventory and see, okay, many a times we cannot justify our lust and we basically say that it is love, right? But actually, unless and until one is completely, focused on loving Krishna, any sorts of material attachment will simply be lust, not love, right? But when there is complete love for Krishna, then all these material relationships will be transformed into relationships with Krishna, and such will result in true compassion, right? So love for Krishna is reflected as compassion towards all the living entities, right? So it's very very hard. Like how can a father or a mother not love their child, right? It's very difficult to digest that. Okay, how can a mother not love the child? How come a mother love Krishna more than the child, right? So this was exactly the question that was asked by Parikshit Maharaj to Shukdev Goswami. Does anybody remember when Parikshit Maharaj asked this question to Shukdev Goswami? in Krishna Leela. That how can the Brajvasis have more love for Krishna than their own children? Anybody remembers when this question was asked in Krishna Leela? In Krishna Leela meaning when Sukadeva Goswami is directing Krishna Leela. This question. Brahma Vimohan Leela. Absolutely. Thank you. When in Brahma Vimohan Leela?
Krishna expanded as children of every other Brajavasi.
Absolutely. So everybody remembers the Brahma Vimohan Leela, right? Krishna expands into all the children and all the calves. And when that day he is returning back to Braj, it is observed that all the Gopas and the Gopis were feeling ecstasy in their heart. So Parikshit Maharaj is saying, how is it possible that somebody can love somebody can be more dear than their own children? What is the response that Sukadeva Goswami gives to this question? What is the response?
He narrates the story of Brahma.
No, but he answers the question, right? Why are the Brajvasis having more love for Krishna than their own children? So he answers that question. He answers that actually at the end of the day, one loves oneself more than anybody else. Right? So one loves oneself even more than their own children. So so Sukadeva Goswami explains that actually when one is truly situated in self-realization, because one loves oneself more than anybody else, in the pure state of self-realization, one realizes that one's only well-wisher, only connection is Krishna. So that propensity of putting oneself priority than anybody else, that propensity in a pure state, one is identifying that, oh, Krishna is my only relation. There are no other, all other relations are temporary and meaningless. They are gone with the body. So then my connection for the soul, my relationship is with Krishna. That's my eternal relationship. So in purified stage, one actually realizes that relationship. And when one realizes that relationship, then automatically, that takes more priority than anything else of this world. Right? So we see that Brajvasis were on a pure state. And because they were on pure state, their love for Krishna was very natural. Right? And because their love for Krishna was very natural, when the day Krishna expanded as covered all the Gopas, automatically they were feeling more joy. Right? Automatically they're feeling more joy. So this is love. And we see an example of love in the Brajvasis. And we see the example of love in the Braj Gopis. And we see the example of love in the pure devotees like Madhvacharya. Was it Madhvacharya? Yeah. Right? He is married and then he gets a son or he gets a child. And he's thinking, okay, who's going to take care of the child? And then he sees the lizard, is just born. And then he sees that the lizard has just given birth to a baby lizard. And the baby lizard comes out and then is looking around, and then the baby lizard goes and eats a spider. So when he sees that, he immediately leaves his home and goes and takes sannyas. Because he realizes that actually he was thinking that he has to take care of his son. But then he realized that actually the nature is created in such a way that everybody's needs are taken care by the nature. Everybody is going to survive, right? So we think I'm going to make everybody survive, but everybody is going to survive. Nature is going to take care. And when one realizes that Krishna is in control, by seeing that example of the spider, of the lizard eating the spider, then he becomes relieved and he says, now I can totally surrender to Krishna. Immediately he gave up that attachment
Who's this one,
to his
Prabhu?
own child.
Who is this, Prabhu?
Prabhu, is a Madhvacharya Prabhu?
No.
Jayadeva Goswami.
Sridhar Swami actually.
Sridhar Swami, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Ratyar Prabhu. Sridhar Swami. It was not Madhvacharya. It was Madhvacharya was never married. It was Sridhar Swami. Right? So, the point that I was trying to mention is that the pure devotees have that kind of a love. They're able to, give up all other attachments. But nevertheless, for us, what we understand from this is that we need to increase our love for Krishna. Right? We need to increase our love for Krishna. We need to give priority to Krishna. We need to be able to make sure that we don't, at least in our state, we don't compromise on our Krishna consciousness. Forget about all the other lofty things. At least we don't compromise on our Krishna consciousness in the name of other responsibilities and duties. Right? So, this is a key point for us to take home. Right? And this is understanding of Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja. Alright, so that is devotional service in pure love of God. Right? We are still sadhana bhaktas. Some of us may be still at anartha nivritti, bhajan kriya, right? Ruchi. Some devotees like Vanmali Gopal Prabhu may have attained ruchi, taste. So he came to hear.
I can use that as an example. Not real.
Right, but taste, I'm sure all of us have gotten some taste. We are getting a glimpse of taste, right? Glimpse of ruchi. But bhava and prema are very far, right? But the fact that we have come, when the train leaves one station and reaches it has to cross 10 stations, it reaches the second station, then we realize, oh, it's going in the right direction. I'm in the right train. Right? Right? Like in India, in Bombay, when we used to travel, there would be different tracks, different central line, western line, harbor line. Right? So sometimes when you're changing the lines, sometimes you can get confused. Am I in the central line or am I in the harbor line? And then you realize, okay, the next station when it comes in, you realize, oh, this station has come. Oh, this station is on the harbor line. So I'm in the harbor train, I'm fine. Or sometimes by mistake, actually you take a central line because you're confused. And then you realize, oh, I got on a different line now. I need to change, go back, change the lines, right? So similarly, when we are in this train of bhakti, Shraddha, because of Shraddha, we have engaged in sadhu sangha, and when we start doing bhajan kriya and realize anartha nivritti is happening, I'm on the right train, which means nishtha, ruchi, bhava, and prema are coming. I have to be in the train. Don't leave the train, right? So that's the purpose of this. Is we are in the right train, and also this is important to understand that if I am actually doing bhajan kriya, but anartha nivritti is not happening properly, that means we need to go back and fix our bhajan kriya. Like when we write code, right? Many of us are software developers. When we write code and to build an application, and the application is not doing what it's supposed to do, there are bugs. Then what do we do? What do we do when you find bugs? Ratyatra Prabhu, no, Ratyatra Prabhu is not a software program.
Go back and fix the.
You go and debug the code. Debug. Bug, debug. You find a defect, go and fix it. So then the application runs as it is supposed to run. So our bhakti is going like this. We are doing bhajan kriya and the desired result is not obtained. So it's not that we drop. Oh, I've been chanting for so many years, I'm not reaping the benefit, drop the chanting. No. You have spent so much, you have invested so much energy in developing this code. You go back and debug. So you go back and identify where am I going wrong in my bhajan kriya. Oh, I was actually not even chanting attentively. All right. So chant attentively. Oh, still it's not coming. Still the desired result is not coming. The quality is not, the performance I am expecting this screen to load in 5 seconds is taking 30 seconds. You don't drop the code. Go back, fine tune. Okay, 30 to 20, 20 to 10, 10 to 5. That's how you fine tune your applications and you make your application successful by going back and debugging. So our bhajan kriya is like that. We are coding and we are not getting desired result because we are not doing bhajan kriya properly. So we need to go back and fix it. Keep fixing. Keep chanting attentively. Keep avoiding the offenses. Right? There are 10 offenses against the holy name. Keep avoiding them. And what will happen? Guaranteed application will run. We will get our desired result of what is the last statement after the 10 offenses that Srila Prabhupada gives us?
Inattentive.
It is also an offense to be inattentive chanting. Every devotee in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prem. Right? So this Krishna Prem will be achieved. Okay. Ecstasy. So ecstasy can be very easily achieved simply by following the rules and regulations. Because it's very natural, actually, even now, right? Vanmali Babalbu, you were in Sadhu Sangha, right? Did you feel ecstatic in Sadhu Sangha?
Yeah, when
You did?
so many devotees are chanting.
Right? You almost sometimes, in some moments, you also feel like your hair is standing on it, right? Right? You feel overwhelmed when you are. So those moments are of ecstasies can be experienced even at our level, who are still full with material contamination. But we experience because that's the process of bhakti. The heart becomes soft. Sometimes we feel, very emotional. We become very compassionate, and we experience such type of ecstasy in devotional service. So ecstasy, if one engages in devotional service properly, then one will be able to experience ecstasy. Chandrakanti, a celebrated fair-faced girl, rigidly observed celibacy in order to obtain Krishna as her husband. She always engaged herself in meditating on the transcendental form of the Lord and always chanted the glories of the Lord. She did not desire to accept anyone else as her husband. She had firmly decided that only Lord Krishna would be her husband. Prabhupada is giving an example in Padma Purana. So that's ecstasy. Lord's extraordinary mercy. When a devotee is found to be always associated with the Lord in ecstatic love, it is to be understood that such position has been awarded by the Lord Himself out of His causeless extraordinary mercy. Right? So this is very important. That if one is able to experience ecstatic love, right, then one need to understand that this is possible because of Lord's extraordinary mercy, right? So in the month of Damodar, we realize there are two fingers. Two fingers, the rope is 2 fingers too short, right? What are the two fingers? Effort, endeavor of a devotee, and second one is
Mercy.
Mercy of the Lord.
mercy of the Lord. So this factor actually we don't need to uh, understand this factor only when ecstatic love comes. Even in very early stages of sadhana bhakti, we need to quickly acknowledge and understand that actually without Krishna's mercy, I can't even do my basic activities of devotional service. And in fact, forget about devotional service. Even on a very simple, mundane material platform, if one actually, just sees around, one can realize that without the mercy of the Lord, one cannot even sustain one's life. Right? Like other day, Vrindavan Prabhu was giving example that there is air. Right? Without air, how many minutes can we live? 3 minutes. Right? 3 minutes. 3 minutes. If we do not have air for 3 minutes, our body is finished. Do we ever recognize that who's giving us air? Krishna is giving us air. Bhumi rapo nalo vayu kamamanabhakti. Krishna is giving us air. Krishna is giving us food. Krishna is giving everything. So forget about devotional service. Even just from a material platform, one is able to recognize that the Lord is being merciful. Right? And then as one engages in devotional service, one starts to realize that actually I am not the one who can make things happen. Like Arjuna was thinking. Arjuna at one point thought that he was a great Kshatriya and he could actually protect the wives of Krishna. But he realized that he could not he was defeated by infidel cowherd boys. Right? He was defeated by them. And he realized that, oh, my entire power was coming from Krishna. Right? So, a devotee realizes that Krishna Krishna Mahabhavo Bhaktanam Abhyankaraha. Right? In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavata, Uttara is praying like that. That, my dear Lord, you are the unlimited powerful one. So devotees acknowledge, they understand. Arjuna could understand. My power is coming from Krishna. So we understand that, by my own merit, I can only go so far. We can't accomplish much just on our own, especially in bhakti. So when we quickly acknowledge that that I am dependent on Krishna, Krishna has to actually give me Shakti, Krishna has to give me mercy. But then we have to make endeavor. We have to do our part. We have to endeavor. Krishna will not help lazy people. Krishna will help people who are actually working hard. Yashoda Maya was working hard. She was laboring, and then after that hard work, then she got the mercy of Krishna. So like I remember, Gaurang Prabhu was here a few months back, and Gaurang Prabhu was saying that if you want to make serious advancement in spiritual life, he said the formula that our acharyas have given us and also taught us by their own example. The formula to make serious advancement in spiritual life, as what acharyas have given us by their own example, is you have to slog. You have to work hard. Like, you have to toil. So you are saying, you look at the lives of Bhaktisastri Thakur. You look at the life of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. You look at the life of the Goswamis. You look at the life of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada's life was not like easygoing and relaxed life. Right? Prabhupada was toiling. He was struggling. He was fighting against the flow of the material world. Right? So that's what we see in all the acharyas. The Goswamis were just constantly working hard, struggling, right, to engage in devotional service. So working hard not for material advancement, but working hard for spiritual progress. So Gauranga was mentioning The formula is you have to slog, you have to work hard, right? You have to get out of your comfort zone. And then, uh, as you slog like that, with the consciousness that I cannot make it happen, Krishna can make it happen, then that causeless mercy comes, which actually gives birth to pure love of God. Association with pure devotees. Although many different processes for developing love of God have been explained, Srila Rupa Goswami now gives us general description of how one can best achieve such a high position. Right? So, there are many societies and associations of pure devotees, and someone with just a little faith begins to associate with such societies, his advancement to pure devotional service is rapid. Right? So this association of pure devotees, we already discussed, sadhu sangha, right? This is the first step. This is the first stage of association with pure devotees, right? So this is the key. The key is association with pure devotees, right? So we all have heard like a zillion times, the importance of association. And the way the association works is these pure devotees, they rub off. You spend like a day with them, they'll rub off, and probably some few minutes will register in your mind, right? And that can actually save one from, in times of need when we are actually trying to make decisions in life. These things that have been rubbed off, they come back, right? So like I was chanting today, and then I was just, all of a sudden I was just remembering, the discussion that I was having, with Chandramali Swami Maharaj. And Chandramali Maharaj was, he was mentioning in this trip, was here, right? Last month. And Maharaj was mentioning how, he was saying that how he's taking his japa so seriously. And he was just sharing. He was not even like telling anything. It was not even a class. Just very casually sharing that how he's taking his japa very seriously. And, he was saying that how by doing so, he himself is experiencing so much difference in his consciousness. Okay. Chandramali Maharaj is like, 40, 50 years he's doing bhakti. And not even bhakti like us. He's a sannyasi. He's dedicated his life 24/7. He's engaged in devotional service. He's nothing else but devotional service. Right? But what is he saying? He's saying, oh, recently I have become more disciplined. By the way, he's all very disciplined. Huh? Those of you who know Chandramali Maharaj for years, I've known him for about 20 years now. He is disciplined since all the time I've known him. But now he's saying, I am more disciplined now. Right? So he was just casually mentioning that I'm trying to take my japa seriously, I'm trying to do it nicely, it's helping me. So as I was chanting, and that just came to me. I was thinking, that Maharaj mentioned, and if he is taking his japa seriously, we should take japa seriously. And I was trying to chant. So now this was just a casual conversation, happened a month back. In the month, we have gone through so much crazy things at work, home, this, that. We talk so many stuff. But this one thing stuck in my mind. Right? Why it's stuck in mind? Because that's the power of association of pure devotees. Right? They rub off. They stick. Their instructions, their association sticks. So the more we associate with Vaishnavas, pure devotees, we can experience very, very rapid progress in our lives. Sri Rupa Goswami thus concludes the first division of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, offering up his treatise for the transcendental pleasure of Sanatana Goswami, who has established the transcendental beauty, and of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami. It appears from this statement that the great Srila Jiva Goswami was not yet active when Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was written. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta summary study of the first division of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu up to the descriptions of ecstatic love of Godhead, which are to follow next. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments, thoughts, confusion, what we discussed today?
Very nice.
It's nectar of devotion. So it's nectar, supposed to be nectar. Yes, anything from क्या हो रहा है भाई? Yes. Ratyatra Prabhu, Gokul Priya Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, actually, I had little confusion. You cleared that. One thing is, Bhava is actually somewhere written as English translation love. Then pure love is next step. As I understand, you explained also this is emotion.
Yeah.
Emotion
Feelings.
is also love, Prabhuji.
No, it's feelings, bhava, feelings. Right?
And what is pure love?
Pure love, as Prabhupada has explained here, that when one is completely reposed in Krishna and his desire is completely intensified, right? In that particular relationship, that's pure love. You're just totally consumed, right? Totally consumed by Krishna. No other thought than to actually serve Krishna, right? That's pure love. Make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. So, one more point is, Prabhuji, we should see everybody equally. That's a very critical thing
Yeah.
to get the pure love of Godhead. So, but
Yeah.
again, because unless there is Lord's mercy, we will not be able to, anartha nivrutti will not happen, then we will not
Yeah.
see everybody equally. So, how it will progress?
What is that?
How this will progress? Whether first thing,
No,
will
so as we do bhajan kriya, then anartha nivritti will happen, and as anartha nivritti will happen, then slowly, our vision will change. It's like this: when the mirror is dirty, and then you are trying to clean it. When it is dirty, you can't see yourself properly. But as you are cleaning it, you can start seeing yourself. And then when the mirror is totally clean, you see as it is. So right now we can't see anything properly. Right? When the mirror is becoming clean, another and everything is happening. Slowly, we will start seeing things as it is. So it's not going to happen like overnight. It's going to happen over a period of time as the anarthas are being purged. All right?
yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Anything else? Pandurang Prabhu?
No, Prabhu.
Damodar?
Yeah.
Prabhu, question is everything in the material world is lust. It's like iron when compared to gold. So how come in this material world we can experience bhava and prema?
Because actually it's interesting that the only thing material in this material world is actually our desire to lord it over the material nature, our desire to enjoy separate from Krishna. That's the only thing that's material. Otherwise, everything else is spiritual. The moment for a pure devotee, everything is spiritual. So in this material world, when we just change our desire from trying to enjoy for our own self to trying to serve Krishna, then the same material energy becomes spiritual energy, right? So we are under Mahamaya. When the desire changes to surrender to Krishna, Mahamaya changes into Yogamaya, right? Mahamaya to Yogamaya. That is our journey. So it's the same energy. Like Prabhupada gave example, Maharaj gave example of electricity. Electricity is not hot or cold, but you use in the summer the same electricity to run AC, which gives you cool air, and then you run the same electricity in winter to give heat, which gives you hot. So the material, the energy of Krishna is not good or bad. When we are on material platform, it appears as Mahamaya. When we are on spiritual platform, it appears as Yogamaya. Right? So stone is not material or spiritual. But same stone, when it is used to carve a beautiful deity of Krishna and then we serve, that stone becomes spiritual. Everything becomes spiritual. Makes sense?
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Jai Ho. So, congratulations to all of you. You have successfully completed the Bhaktisastri curriculum.
Haribol.
Right? So, now the curriculum is completed. But in order to get the certificate, you have to pass the test.
Hare Krishna.
Right? So, next 3 weeks, I won't be here. It's a good golden time for all of you to prepare and to write test. Right? So, what I will do is I will give you all the tests for all the 4 books. I would suggest that next 3 weeks, everybody comes on the class and writes the test together. Next week, the test instruction. Following week for Ishopanishad. And following week for Nectar of Devotion. And then Bhagavad Gita. Or I would even suggest that if you want to wrap up the first 3 books quickly in the first 2 weeks and then leave the 3rd week for Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita there's a lot. And I think some of you had sent some answer sheets for Bhagavad Gita. So if you could resend those to me. If you have already sent, then you are good to go on Bhagavad Gita. So I have to just correct. But please focus on NOI, NOD and Ishopanishad for the next 2 weeks. And complete those tests, study hard because you have to pass the test, right? So make sure you do a good job. And once you pass the test, you'll be given certificates. And then after 3 weeks, then we will resume, we will go to the next curriculum, that is Bhakti Vaibhav, in which Srimad Bhagavatam is discussed. So we will discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. All right?
Prabhuji, one question.
Yes.
Go ahead, Prabhuji.
Thanks, Mataji. The question paper, you'll get the answers at the time period and how it's Prabhu. It's an open book or it's how it's to.
It's open book.
Okay.
Because some are going to be essays, some are going to be, But still, the point is that it'll be important for you to study.
Yes, bro.
Right, and make notes as you might have already made notes. Refer to those, study, so you're prepared, and then it's going to be open book, so you can actually refer to the book if you need. All right, because I'll be able to tell when you're writing the answers. I'll be able to tell whether you know the subject or not. So it's important for you to demonstrate that you know the subject.
Okay, Prabhu.
All right.
Prabhuji, do we need to resend you all those assignments we did in the past?
The exam questions that were sent, those if you could resend.
Exam questions, Prabhuji, I didn't understand. We sent all the assignment sheets.
In the past on Bhagavad Gita, if I remember correctly.
Okay. If you could just, Gokul Priyapati, if you could send me yours, so I'll just make sure that because there are two levels of assignment. One is basically preliminary assignment and one is the final assignment. So I want to make sure that if you know the final assignment is already done by you, then that's perfect. If not, then I'll share that test with you.
Yeah, please share then, Prabhajit. I might have some copies of previous assignments,
Yeah, if you
but
could.
I'm not sure what you are talking about the final assignment.
Yeah, so if you could send me yours, so I will compare that if those
Okay.
questions are the same. If they're the same, then
Okay. Yeah.
So,
so
Punesh,
I'll spend some time and take it to that. All right. Okay, so we'll conclude here. Thank you very much, and all the best with your exam. Vancha
Thank you.
kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya jnana bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
And one more thing,
Ananti
Prabhuji, one more thing. Next week, what time is the test, Prabhuji? What time we have to
same
join?
same time 8:30 to 9:30.
8:30 to 7:30 for us. Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय,
Jai.
श्री की जय,
Jai.
श्री की जय, हरे कृष्ण।
Hare